Hey guys, welcome to the next video of the Gravity Colors RC213V Repsol 2014 build. Last time I left you, I had shown you guys how I painted the frame, got it to look like real metal, and about the Marco Moto jig that I purchased. So I've got the obviously have the bike again still sitting on the jig, and I wanted to show you a little bit of the rear swing arm detail that I did. You know, they tell you in the instructions just to paint the lower parts black on the chain guards and all that kind of stuff, but I went ahead and actually used a 1/24 scale Motorsports plain weave carbon fiber, which is this stuff right here. Great stuff. The smaller the better. You know, what's funny is some of the Scale Motorsports stuff that I purchase, the 1/12th is a little big, so I tend to use either 1/20th or 1/24 scale 12 weave, regular weave, high def weave from Matt Wells at Scale Motorsport, but I rarely will use the 1/12 scale on 1/12th. If I was doing something bigger, I may use it on that, unless I need a larger weave, and then I will use the 1/12 scale stuff. But this is great stuff. Purchased this a while ago. I grabbed it, made some templates with masking tape over the areas where I wanted to make the shapes, and then literally just cut them out and put them on the sheet. So you see that right there. That's carbon fiber. It just adds a little bit more pizzazz to the rear swing arm. Let me show you the other side as well, so you guys can see that too. I also did a little bit of a wash on some of the parts, and of course for that I used Tamiya Panel Line Accent Color Black. It's good stuff. Be careful with this though, because it is an enamel-based paint. I'm not saying it's hot, but over water-based paints, it might loosen them up. So that's how far I've gotten the swing arm. I've got plenty more to do on this before long. Now, last time I talked to you, I went through the pieces of the Top Studio detail sets that I was going to be using on this model, and one of the first things we're going to do is the clutch. We purchased the Top Studio clutch kit here, the RC213V clutch, and I have already begun to do the assembly on it, which is going to look a lot better than this little blob here, which is the kit piece. That's molded in white. You'd have to paint, and then detail paint the sides. This little clutch kit is going to make the bike look so much better. But it's not easy to put together, I will tell you that. You're going to need a good set of eyes. I'm getting up there in age, so I like to use a pair of these. And I'm going to put them on, as a matter of fact. You're not going to see me with them on, which is good. I'm cool with that. But what we're going to do, I've actually begun so far already to do this, is I've cut away all of these little copper colored photo etch pieces. There's a B1 and B2 part on these, and what they are is they're a flat disc like this, and then there's a notch disc like that. Now you have to stack these within the main housing. Now the main housing excuse me, came in this big circle piece right here. Okay, now the main housing was a big flat open piece with these little bends. These little these are your side plates that hold the stators or the clutch rings in place. I'm sorry, not the stators, but the clutch rings, and they have to be bent to a vertical position all the way around. It doesn't matter if you don't get them perfect, because once you start inserting these rings that you see here, and it tells you what to do, you stack these up. Once you start to insert these, it takes shape and starts to get nice and round, and the perfect shape it needs to be. So I've begun actually to start slipping these in there, because it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. But there's how it looks so far. Look at this. It's crazy. The detail is just unbelievable. Will you see all this? Well, probably not, but you're going to see a good amount of it. So basically, I'm actually ready right now to install one of these little circles here. So what I'm going to do is build a couple of these and then pause the video and then bring you back and show you the you know, close to the finished product. Because once I get all these rings stacked in place, then I have this tedious task of putting these end cap plates on, and there's little slots all the way around the outside of them. You can probably see them in this video here. They have to go over each tower on the edge of the clutch, and it's not going to be easy. So let's put a couple of these in here, and then you'll see how it goes from there. And we'll pause the video and come back. So basically what I'm doing is taking this here. I'm taking my clutch ring, because I'm ready for one of these right now. Let me just pick it up with my fingers. It's easier. And I'm literally going to put it in place. Now these are easy because they don't have to go into a slot. And I'm just slipping them down in place. And I'm going to put it down on the actual table here and push them in place. I say it's easy, and then I lie to myself. And then another one goes on top. So you stack them. They get a little springy. So once I'm all done, I'm going to have to glue them in place. But they really look cool. And then after I'm done with that other slotted one, another round flat one goes over top of it. And then another slotted one. And you have to make sure the slots are in between the openings on the towers around the outside edges. That's the fun part, trust me. There's another one. And then so on. We put this one in place. And then there's one more that goes on top. They seem to fall right in place once they're in there. But they're fun to keep in place, that's for sure. So I'm going to continue finishing this up. I'm going to pause the video and come back and show you what it looks like with it all together with the caps on it. And the only piece I had to paint was the top part of the clutch right here, and I painted it X31, which is what the Tamiya instructions tell you to paint it, which is titanium gold. I shot this through my airbrush. Now this piece here is a resin piece, and be very careful when you take it off the little tree that it's on, because you can easily snap it. Literally, I snapped mine. I had to glue it back together, but you can hardly tell. So I'm just letting you know, be careful when you pull it off that little tree that it becomes molded on, because their resin is very brittle. So let me pause the video and I'll come back and show you the final product. Okay guys, well, I'm back with you now, and I'm glad I didn't videotape this entire clutch while I was building it, because it would probably have to be edited for profanity. Let's just put it this way, it was a pain. It really was. But it went together. Got it together, it cooperated finally. I find that if you slip the clutch and everything over like a paintbrush handle, and then start sliding the clutch plates on there individually and lining them up and then just tacking them in place with some glue, it comes out a lot easier than trying to do it without any kind of an alignment tool of some sort. So use an end of a paintbrush or something equivalent as your alignment tool, and you should be fine with it. But it's definitely not for the faint of heart doing these clutches. But man, what a beautiful piece. Now the only thing I have left to put on it, let me show it to you real quick, is some photo etch bolts. What I love about Top Studio is when they give you a kit of some sort or whatever, they always gives you extra bolts. I've just taken 6 off of here, but they gave me some nice photo etch bolts that are a ton extra that I can use on some other aspect of maybe on this project or other projects. But I love that about Top Studio, that they give you extra pieces all the time when they give you the kits. So this is like I said, this is their really nice RC213V Top Studio clutch kit for the 14 bike. It is awesome. I mean, what a difference this will make compared to, you be the judge here. Which one looks better? I mean, this clutch on the sides has all the intricate detail and everything that's supposed to be there. With the plate, you can see them stacked inside there. Everything's colored correctly. Like I said, the only thing I had to paint was the clutch cover, compared to nothing on the sides of this. So it makes a huge difference. You will see the clutch plate or the clutch cover and all that because it's exposed from the fairing, which is nice. So I have 6 bolts here. You really can't see them really well, but I've got 6 little photo etch bolts that I cut off this little tree that they give you extras for in the Top Studio clutch kit. Photo etch bolts. And I'm going to glue them in place. Now, I think I've told you before in other videos, my favorite glue for photo etch, if it's just to be glued on and just fixed in place, is Future. I've got a little bottle of this, just, I keep it in a medicine bottle filled with Future. And it's my go-to glue when it comes to photo etch parts. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these little bolts in place. All you need is a little bit on each. I'm just going to do about 2 at a time. And what you do is you pick up the bolt carefully with the wet Future brush, and it will just slide right on there beautifully. Do one more. I mean, it doesn't make a mess. It doesn't hurt anything. You can move it around a little bit until it sets, which I love. Just remember when you're handling it that it still stays pretty wet for a while. I think I might put a little bit of a wash around the edges of these bolts to kind of bring out the detail. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do there. I don't want to overdo it, make this thing look too dirty. These bikes, really, even though I put a wash on some parts, they are kept immaculate. They are pretty clean most of the time. I mean, these are high dollar machines. But a little bit of a wash around these bolts once they're dry will probably bring out some extra detail in the nooks and crannies of this thing, and really just give it character and catch your eye. I'm definitely a wash guy. I love washes, but I do them sparingly on MotoGP bikes because these things are really clean most of the time, unless you're doing a post-race bike, and of course those aren't clean. But a pre-race bike, usually, pretty darn clean. So there you have it, guys. There's my finished product right here. All that work just for a little clutch. But all these little things make a huge difference. And that's what I love about Top Studio parts, is these little parts will step up the realism on the bike and make it look amazing. Why don't we see how it's going to look inside the engine? I'm not going to glue it on in this video, but remember my engine here, which is all detail painted. I described it in my last video. Like I said, it's ready for the clutch now. So let's just pop this on here and check that out. What a difference that makes. Seeing all the detail on the sides, the top, the photo etch bolts. I think I will later, once they dry and they're fixed really well, run a little bit of the panel line accent color black wash into the crevices and such. You got to be careful with this, by the way. I think I've mentioned to you, this panel line stuff. You don't overdo it if you're using Tamiya enamels, because the wash is also enamel. It's a real thin down enamel. It's not a harsh enamel, but it will move this paint around if you kind of rub it in there too much. It'll lift some of this up and mix it with a wash, and it doesn't look very good. So be careful. You can do it, but you got to be very sparing with the black wash. I found that's been my my experience with it. but I love this stuff. So, all right, guys. Next up is probably getting more work done on the engine once I get the clutch in place. And moving on with the rest of the build, pretty soon we'll be getting into some paint work on the body tins. I want to get them all assembled and all the seams filled. I'll show you how I do the seam fills on my on these bikes. Very similar to the MP430 seams that I had on that car when I did the McLaren in the first series of the Gravity videos here. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Again, it's these clutches aren't easy, but man, do they step up with the realism of the bikes. And of course, like always, I love my jig, Marco Moto. You can get those jigs on eBay if you want to check them out. I guess that's it for now. Talk to you next time. See ya.